And welcome everybody to 2020 F1 season at La España, Espanol. It only rains on the track. When it doesn't rain on the track, it rains in the cockpit. Or at least someone's pissing themselves. I don't know. That may be a joke, but I'm not sure. Basically, welcome to the big race, everybody. And by big race, everybody, what I mean to say, of course, is Steve McRae versus Carl Curtis, I think his name is. That's the big race. That's the one everybody's waiting for. And as usual, there are going to be no winners. There are only losers. And by losers, I mean that great winter sport, luging. Okay, moving onwards, because that isn't actually the big race, because that's already done and dusted as far as I can see. Steve, of course, is going to win that hands down, because that's what he says. And as we know, what he says probably is going to be the case, because he's never been wrong. All right, I'll let that sink there. I'll just let that sink. Okay, moving onwards. The big race was, of course, the Spanish Grand Prix. And what a fantastic race we had. It probably one of the best races I've seen at Spain since, I don't know, since the running of the bulls, probably. Because as usual, there was fuck all overtaking at Spain, and it all comes down to position on the grid. And it was actually fantastic because, of course, Lewis Hamilton got pole position, and his teammate, what's his teammate's name? Bottas? Yes,
Jeeves.
Bottas. Jeeves. Jeeves. Yeah, Bottas was, of course, his teammate who got second. However, into the first corner, Bottas didn't get such a great start and was in fact overtaken by, two Mercedes, basically. So it was Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4 into the second corner, and it stayed like that until the third or fourth corner, or whatever, fourth lap, when Bottas decided to get his shit out and start overtaking a few more cars. So I should also say it was Verstappen managed to get in there somewhere. I don't know what happened to Verstappen. He was a right whinger at this Grand Prix. He couldn't stop whinging. Oh, my car's not fast enough. Oh, my gloves don't fit. Oh, my helmet's too small. Oh, the drink's too warm. Oh, look, the champagne is just a little bit tepid. There was just everything. Tires. Oh, my tires. Oh, my tires they're just too round. Oh, what's going on? Anyway, I don't know what he was complaining about, but he didn't have a very good race because everything was wrong. His team kept giving him duff information. Oh, my radio, I can't tune it into Radio 1 and get a decent tune on it. Oh, my God. He's just complained every 5 seconds. But he actually drove quite a good race, I thought. He hung in there well. Again, considering he was whinging so much, he did very well. And I believe he came second in the race. So well done to Verstappen again. He's making the season, I was going to say interesting, but I would be lying if I said that. He's making the season a little bit Dutch. Yeah, a little bit Dutch. That's what he's making the season. And he's doing a very good job at it as well. I feel very orange sometimes, even though I'm barely looking at McLaren anymore because they are going backward on the grid. Who'd have thought? And they finished, I don't know where they finished, but Sainz obviously had a good race. It was his home circuit, so we were very thrilled about that. And and there we go. Okay, so that's about it for the race. Lewis finished first. There was a few overtakes here and there, but nothing more than tyres. Ferrari, I don't know what happened to Ferrari this race. Oh yeah, that was it. Leclerc, the pacey pastry, he had a bit of a Dairy Queen moment where he spun out because his gearbox fucked up, and then the engine just stopped on him. Right, so obviously that's a big malfunction, and he must have taken his seatbelts off, thinking the race was over, forgetting, of course, right? These cars, they've got electronic starters now. And if you got stuff in your battery from your ERS and stuff, you could restart them. So that's what he did. He managed to restart it and got on his way. But of course, he'd already taken his seatbelt off. so he had to stop, and that basically put him out of the race. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he was thinking doing, sitting in the car taking his seatbelt off. There you go. Again, it's just a bit slow on the Ferrari front. They should have been saying to him on the radio straight away, okay, can you try this, Charles? Can you try that? And by the way, don't fucking take your seatbelt off, because that's a stupid idea. But no, they didn't. They didn't. They said something in Italian, and he didn't understand because he's French. So there you go. Anyway, he was out of the race. Unfortunate. He was driving a good race as usual. But he was out of the race, and that left everything on Sebastian's shoulders. And Sebastian, this was funny. Sebastian asked what pace he needed to do if he was going to stay on the one stop. And then 3 laps later, they said, oh, yeah, try and conserve your tyres. Bit fucking late now. So we all had a good laugh at that. I mean, my word. 3 laps it took them to get back. That's approximately 5 minutes. I don't know. Maybe they were having a quick cappuccino or something. I don't fucking know what they were doing back there. But nonetheless, they didn't get back to him straight away to tell him, which kind of puts it on the line that they weren't really thinking about his race that much, because otherwise I think the engineer would have been right on going, no, conserve your tyres. It looks like we might have to go. We'll tell you if you need to speed up. That would have been the obvious thing to say. But instead, no, they just said, no, go for it. Push, and we'll see what happens, and we'll get you in soon. Oh, no, we're not going to get you in soon, because, of course, now we've looked at the strategy. It probably means you should go to the end. Nonetheless, they were aiming for 5th. He ended up 7th, I think, and that was a pretty good result for Sebastian this year. So he can't be all too dishappy with that. Not that obviously they're backing Sebastian as much as they can, despite the fact they've got no idea where he is in the race half the time. But anyway, it's all personal. And apart from that, the Tracing Point Mercedes did very well again, showed some decent pace, and Albon unable to overtake them. Gasly had another outstanding race, I thought. And what else? Bottas did all right. Came 3rd, a bit disappointing, really, I would guess, but nonetheless, Verstappen, as I say, he drives like a champ when he's in the mood, doesn't he? Norris, disappointing. Raikkonen, he's very unhappy about going to Belgium. Apparently, they've cancelled all the party modes in Belgium, and Raikkonen is a party man, so he's extremely disappointed. And he finished like 14th, 15th, somewhere around there. And as I say, he's going to be really unhappy when he gets to Belgium, because there'll be no parties for him. So apart from that, that's basically the race. It was Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Stroll. How they swap around, I don't know. Sainz, Vettel in 7th, Albon disappointing 8th, Gasly good 9th, and Norris disappointing 10th. Okay, thank you. Welcome, of course, to my Fabio, who's an Italian expert at being Italian. He's expert Italian, and he's also expert on Ferrari and all things F1. So welcome, Fabio. What did you make of Spain? Españolo.
España. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't know. To me, it sounded like, well, it was a very boring race. I agree with you. It sounded like it was the amateur hour. The way everybody tried things which made no sense, like when they stopped Albon, put white tires. They were probably thinking, okay, let's see how much they last, to see if we should change white tires to Verstappen. But unfortunately, that was too late, because 2 laps later, Verstappen started complaining about the tires. I mean, it was all over. So they had not enough data. So they basically fucked up Albon because they had to change the tires anyway.
I agree with you on that point. They changed Albon to the white tires so they would see how they handled to start with. But what they didn't do is make sure that he was in clean air, because there's no point.
Yeah.
There is no point in putting someone on a set of tires and then putting them behind someone, because you're not going to be able to tell how the tires perform. That is a big
And I mean,
mess up by Red Bull.
yeah, I mean, to be totally fair to Red Bull, I mean, Albon seems to be good just for that kind of shit. I mean, he got
He's
what,
the second
one
driver.
lap.
Of course, he's the second
Well,
driver.
it was 1.2 seconds driver per lap compared to Verstappen. So
Yeah, but again, he was
it's a
in
little bit
traffic
more
all
than
race.
seconds.
He was all in traffic all race, and they put him straight
Yeah,
into traffic. He could have
yeah,
had a
still.
half decent race if they put him on the right tyre and put him back in traffic, because he might have been able to overtake a few people.
No, I mean,
But
no, I agree with you. I mean, he could
wrong
have had.
tyre, no chance. They just screwed him over royally.
He,
More than they're screwing Vettel over at Ferrari.
he, he could have had. He could have had a half decent race if he was racing a Mercedes and probably in an F3 race. Yeah, he could have. I mean, so,
Oh
yeah,
my
I mean,
goodness! Oh my
yeah,
goodness! You wait, Ferrari will sign him soon because, like, he's a
I
good
mean,
racer, and then we'll
no,
be.
I think that Ferrari should sign Vettel as a strategist because he's apparently he's way better as a driver than as a strategist. Even if he made a very good race with the material he got. Leclerc, they declared he had an electronics problem because of he went too much on the curbs, which I mean, so that line of excuse brought me back years and years and years where what was racing motorcycles, when something happened, we just blamed electronics, and that was something that F1 used to do too, because you just blame the electronic. Electronics means
Absolutely.
everything and nothing, so I
Yeah.
don't know
No,
if that was
I,
true. It was
I've just got to
probably.
say, I've just got to say something quickly there, which is it brought me straight back as well to a great Martin Brundle quote, if I may, which was, "Oh yes, the car was finished the race because of an electronics problem. The piston went through the distributor."
Yeah, well, it's Martin Brundle, so okay. um, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, Leclerc found himself. It was really hot. I think even the butler complained that the black coveralls, were making things really, really hot.
The butler.
Yeah,
Jeeves.
and
Yeah.
and I think that Leclerc, when the car stopped, I mean, it's not like a British car, that they stop every so often. You just wait a little bit and you start them on and keep on running as before, which is shit. I mean, if it stops, there must be some problems, and it was really hot, and he just took off, his seatbelts. They tried. I mean, that was pretty stupid. But my understanding is that the car started only after he tried 2 or 3 times. So he said, fuck it. And he was, understandably frustrated because, he was racing a good race up to that point with the material he had. And he knew full well that, getting back in the position that he was, it would have made him just a shitty race. So, I mean, I kind of get the guy. Didn't want
Absolutely,
to.
he was definitely racing well again.
Yeah,
Let's not take that away from him. And the car, of course, as we've seen,
right.
is underpowered. So, or not underpowered, it's underperforming.
Yeah, the Toro Rosso made a very good race. I think the race really well. Gasly was better than Kvyat. I think they got ahead.
90.
Yeah, there was kind of a disappointing things for Renault. I don't know what the fuck is happening to Renault.
A
It's
poor
either
start.
they are
Poor
what?
start. A poor start is what happened to Renault. They both cars started poorly, and
Yeah,
that again. It's Barcelona. It's that
mm.
track. You can't really do much other than just drive around.
Yeah.
So,
No, you're right. I mean, thank God. I mean, we've done that race, and thank God they're not
yeah.
racing twice that track
Oh,
because yeah,
indeed.
it's abysmal.
It used to be a
Uh,
good track back in the day. It used to be. I mean,
I am
again, it always used to be 2x2 because it was a power circuit.
I
But
am pretty sure it's a wonderful track to drive,
hmm.
but it's a pretty poor track to watch races on.
Yeah, I
If you
mean,
drive it, I understand it might be really funny, but
yeah, no,
watching races.
without that last chicane, it used to be pretty good when it was 2 fast corners right at the end. But you still couldn't overtake. So,
Yeah.
hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, anyway, I mean the race, went, as more or less predicted.
Yep.
One of my kids tried to talk me into liking Stroll a little bit more after, especially after the start.
Yeah.
I still don't like the guy. I mean, he's a so he let's be clear. I think he deserves to be in F1. Okay,
Good. Good. Good.
but he's a manufactured driver. He was built to race, and I don't think he has as much talent as the other guys. And I give it to the guy. I mean, he is preparing so well. His father gave him enough money to prepare himself to become an F1 driver,
Hmm.
and he got
Yep.
to a good point. But still, I think, talent wise, it's kind of a bummer.
Well, I would disagree. I don't see him. I mean, maybe I don't see him in the top echelon of race drivers, but I certainly see him in the second echelon, and he's no worse than a Perez
Yeah,
or
no, no, no. Yeah,
you
no.
know,
I mean, I said, I mean,
Or a Gasly or a
he
Kvyat or
yeah.
a. I mean, there's quite a few
Well,
races there which he's equal to, and I
no,
would agree with you. He's been given a huge chance to do it.
yeah,
So, but he's learnt his trade. He learnt well. That second year at Williams was a cracking year against the odds,
no, but
and he showed his determination. So that
no.
would
I
be
mean,
my.
I'm not saying, I said it before. I mean, I think he deserves to be an F1 driver.
Hmm.
I'm just saying that I think that if you take any driver which is in F1 right now, and you gave him the training and the resources that Stroll had,
Hmm.
they would have been way better than they are right now. He had a huge jump start. I don't know if it's true,
Hmm.
but there were people during the comment listen on the Italian television. They said that they remember the guy going to kart races with and he used to have the the old Jordan F1 uh, truck paddock. I mean,
Hmm.
imagine that. You go to a kart race and
Hmm.
the Jordan thing comes on, and it's for a fucking kart race. So I
Hmm.
mean, kudos to the guy. I mean, I'm not saying he did bad, but still, I'm just a little bit meh.
Yeah, and again, I would tend to agree with you that he hasn't had the same cut and thrust that many of the other drivers have had to go
Mm.
through in order to earn their way into F1. I mean, again, I remember before he joined Williams, before that first year at Williams, which he did well in. His dad bought him like maybe 5 or 6 track
Mm-hmm.
days
Mm-hmm.
with a
Mm-hmm.
Williams, okay, which
Yeah.
let's face it, no one else can do. I mean,
Oh, it's
nobody else can afford to do that. That must have cost the
it
guy millions, right there.
it's not only that. I mean, the people that his dad hired. He hired. I can't remember the name. It was the Italian track engineer for Schumacher as a trainer.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
So, and I mean, okay, you got the money, you can do that. I'm not complaining, but still.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so while Fabio's just dealing with his missus, we'll. Oh, I think he might have finished. Sorry,
Yeah.
mate. I made a bad
No,
joke, but don't listen back to it. Okay,
no.
carry on.
It's my kid just arrived at dogs.
Oh,
They
okay, yeah. Oh, the one that likes Stroll, yeah.
yes, he's the guy.
Excellent. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
can probably see him passing by in a few seconds.
Oh, good. No,
So
no. Thumbs up to him. I think he's got some taste. I like his old
yeah,
man.
well, okay,
Okay.
uh, fair enough.
I'm just
So
having a
what?
go for the sake of it here. It's because there's nothing else to talk about at this Grand Prix because it was that
Yeah,
fucking boring.
jeez. I mean, should we talk about the MotoGP race? Because
Oh
that was
wow. Yeah,
jeez.
that was insane, wasn't it? Oh my goodness.
Holy shit!
Okay,
That
so
was.
Dovi, I mean, wow, manhandling that Ducati. I bet you're well
Oh,
pleased about that.
ciao, tutto bene?
Yeah,
Ciao.
and that happened in the weekend where he said that he's not going to drive for Ducati anymore. So
Oh really?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. I just
that,
thought, what a race though.
yeah, and that and Rossi basically, he got all his luck for the rest of his life ever.
Sono vuote le ciotole.
Because that was, I mean, yeah, there were two, literally two motorcycles crossing in front of you.
Yeah, well,
I
one
mean, not
flew over his
one.
front wheel. I
Jesus, I
mean,
mean that was
it
funny.
actually
As well.
flew over his front wheel as he's going probably about 80 mile an hour, something like that, maybe 70 around a
Yeah, I
corner.
mean that was
Ah,
fucking scary, man. So,
yeah.
well, anyway, back to the boring races. Yeah, F1.
Oh, yeah.
So, what else happened? So have you heard about the thing about the federation is trying to ban yeah, you talked about banning the party mode.
I made a few
Uh,
jokes about party mode and Kimi
yeah,
Raikkonen. Yeah,
yeah.
I,
No, I've heard about it, and
I
so
like the idea. I like the idea. I don't
yeah.
think we need party modes, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. In fact, it's going to make things worse. But carry on.
I have a couple of ideas about that. So the first one is that we have to understand that the reason why they want to ban it is because the federation. So the federation fucked up already with the Racing Point or the Racing Paint, or whatever you want to call it, the pink Mercedes.
Mm.
Uh, um, so in in light of that, the fact that they made some rules really confusing, they basically said, listen, we cannot understand or prove or see if everything is regular. So you know what? No more maps, no more engine maps. Which is, I mean, I think it's pretty stupid for two reasons. I mean, the first one is that uh, maps during the race, especially. Let's talk about during the race. Maps are
Mm-hmm.
usually used for fuel and tire management, right? I mean that's
Mm-hmm.
what they use 95% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the, they use special maps in qualifying, but that goes back, to the I mean, way back in F1. I mean, F1 they used to have special engines for qualifying. I mean, the
Indeed, those.
BMW
Yeah.
engines that 1500 horsepower, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just lasted I don't know 5 laps, and then they exploded. Uh, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there was some really nice stories about that. It seems to be I digress a little bit, but it seems to be that they were using N3 BMW N3 engines, crankcases. I mean the production ones, but they had to age the aluminum to make it strong. I mean that was really fascinating. But anyway, the thing is that I don't think that Mercedes' advantage in qualifying is only because of maps.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something else which they will not catch with having a mandatory map for all the
Oh,
weekend, and,
okay.
and I mean, and there's some stuff they're not able to catch. They don't know how to catch. I'll make you an example. Um,
I'm confused right now, so please do.
no, just make I'll just make you an example. Nobody is checking the oil which is used to cool the batteries. Nobody.
Hmm.
Uh, so if you let's say that somebody found a way to use that in qualifying just for 2 or 3 laps,
Uh,
that would give you something like 3/10 of a second, because keep in mind that 1 kilometer an hour is 7 horsepower, more or
mm,
less. So you can pretty much calculate how much horsepower Mercedes has in qualifying just by measuring the speed. And if you account on how much oil there is to cool the battery off, and how much you can inject, for example, in the engine. I mean, of
mm,
course, it's not something you can do constantly because you add pressure to the crankshaft, and everything blows up. But the fact is that, and this is just an example. Nobody's checking for that shit. And I
okay.
think I think that Mercedes has something else besides maps to increase the performances, especially if you consider the jump that they make from Q1 to Q2 and Q2 to Q3. But so it
Hmm.
would be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Okay. That all sounds a
Aha!
little
You
bit.
never thought.
I
You
had
didn't know
no
I was
idea
going there,
because
right?
I had no idea. Absolutely. I mean, you have totally bamboozled me. But I don't know about the the jumps in performance, because that could just be them turning it up, knowing that it makes it easier for them to get through, etc., to the next round. That's possible, I suppose. And then full beans for the 2 laps each, or for the 4 laps that you need in Q3. That's potentially possible still. I still think everybody else will be doing it as well, and if you're cutting one back, you're cutting them all back, which still means that the Mercedes is going to be the best engine. Now, the other thing is, I thought that they were now using 2 flow regulators into the engine.
Oh, they use flow regulators for the fuel.
Right. But that's everything that's going into the.
Really? Because
that's what I understand it to be.
Okay, let me tell you one thing. You can inject fuel in an engine without going through the main injectors.
Yeah, I mean, you could presumably let it seep in through the things that go up and down at the top.
Right.
Whatever they're called.
There are ways to do that kind of stuff. I mean, you can also use, so provided that you don't use the fuel, right? Use something else which you have on board, be it oil, it might be even coolant, It doesn't go through. It doesn't necessarily go through the main injector. So that is not.
That wouldn't be counted. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I see. Yeah, again, potentially, I guess you could be right. It sounds a little bit contrived, and knowing that Mercedes never break the rules and are and are completely honest all the time. I would doubt it. I actually got a text. I got a text from Toto Wolff this week.
Yeah.
It said schnell. So I don't know what that means, but I just said back to him.
Right.
It's like, well, who won the war, Fritz? You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was enough.
Talking about Mercedes, and so I don't think you know that, but the Italian television interviewed Nico Rosberg on Saturday, and he was pretty much free flowing. They asked him a lot of stuff. They also asked him, how do you beat Lewis Hamilton? Because it was the last one to beat him, and he said a couple of very interesting things. The first thing he said, said about Bottas, and I said, well, you have to get into Lewis' brain, not in the race, outside the race.
Yeah.
And he said a couple and he said something on the like, listen, if I were not this race, but the last race when he had pole position, if I were Bottas, I would have grilled hamburgers just outside Lewis Hamilton motorhome, the night before, being that he's a vegan and all that shit, make a big grill of, stuff like that, just to get it on his nerves. The other interesting thing is that according to Nico, according to Nico, when Bottas was 2-3 years ago, when Bottas went to Mercedes, he reached Nico Rosberg, to have a chit chat with the guy. And at the time, Nico Rosberg, he said he was too busy. I think he was, too drunk, still, but he's been partying for a year. And he said, I'll go back to you, blah, 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 blah. And after some time, he reached back Bottas and said, listen, you want to have, that conversation you want to have? And apparently, some people in Mercedes told Bottas not to talk with Nico. It's just, no, it's okay. I mean, we'll tell you what to do. You don't really want to talk with Nico Rosberg. That was Nico. The other thing which he said really interesting, at a certain point, he just, blew up and said, oh, by the way, Andy Cowell is on the market. He's free.
Yes,
Ferrari, Ferrari should hire the guy. I mean, it's free. It's not a joke. You should hire the guy. Go and talk with the guy and hire the guy. So,
I mean, Andy Cowell is, of course, Mercedes engine expert, and he's been developing the Mercedes engine for the last 5 or 6 years.
is the head engineering for the Mercedes power unit. Is
Yeah,
is the one which knows how the fuck that engine works. But and again, I think that would be a very interesting thing to do. I know for a fact that Ferrari is hunting engineers all around, and
yeah.
Andy Cowell is one they're talking to.
Well, of
And
course, but
even if they because people say, yeah, but rules are going to change in 2022, blah 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 blah. Yeah, but it's not just to get the guy to get a breath of fresh air, and to understand what other people might have done.
mm,
The other thing which is really interesting on that top level motorsport is that that guy is useful because he could bring some new way of working, some new procedures, some new stuff, and I think it would be only fair. I mean, let's not forget that Mercedes have been doing that the other way around for years. Aldo Costa, Ellison, Sarti. I mean, those are all ex Ferrari people, which were admittedly they were chased away from Ferrari and fired, and
yeah.
Mercedes just got all of them. Another interesting people that I think Ferrari should be hunting is Aldo Costa, which is now working for Dallara.
Ah,
And I think it should be, yeah, he resigned from Mercedes last year, basically.
hmm.
He just went in pension and now he's working for Dallara. And I think he should be another person. The thing is that I'm not really sure that Aldo Costa wants to go back working for Ferrari after the way they treated him. So that
Mm.
that might be an issue. But still,
Yeah,
they have to do something.
yeah. Likewise with Andy Cowell as well. I've got a feeling. I mean, Mercedes would have offered him every incentive under the sun that he could dream of to get him to stay if he really had some something which could be bought. Mercedes would have bought it. So clearly, the guy doesn't want to just more of the same. He wants something different, and
Hmm.
that's why I would reckon that he's probably not going to be in Formula One and isn't really
Well,
looking for a Ferrari job.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, you never know. It depends what kind of role you offer to the guy, I think, you know.
mhm.
Because, let's not forget that
They got
it,
burnt by offering Stepney a too big a role last time. I don't think
yeah,
they're going to do the same thing and offer Cowell
yeah, but
some
I
kind
mean,
of
it depends. I mean,
directorship.
yeah, yeah, but the thing, things can be arranged in such a way that you give a guy more leeway. You ask him, okay, what you want to do. I mean, tell us what you learn. I mean, help us, get him better. Right now, the only good thing in Ferrari right now is that the whole organization is so fucked up that
Hmm.
they can basically feel any role they want because there's basically nobody in a proper role. The only
Hmm.
one is Mattia Binotto, which I don't know if it showed up in previous years, but I don't like the guy very much. And he's
Oh, really?
and he's yeah, and he's the team principal. So
Yeah, yeah,
they stepped it down from any engineering responsibilities and. Right
yeah,
now, if you look at the Ferrari site and see, the responsible. There is no head of the racing department. There are four people which are
yeah,
responsible for various things, aerodynamic, engine, chassis, and
mm,
something, something. But there is no head honcho over there.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the problem I see, the problem, and you may disagree with this, is at Ferrari they said, look, we need some kind of wizard to run our team, and someone said Harry Potter, and they got the next best thing, which was Binotto.
They,
But anyway, I'm not saying he looks like
yeah,
Harry Potter or anything, but I am saying he looks like Harry Potter. And
I mean,
why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you get an engineer who doesn't, to do a job, uh, uh,
because
to do such a big job
the
when in
so
history, think about the people they've had previous to that. This is what I don't understand. The previous people have all been massive personalities.
yes,
And going
so
way back into the 90s, probably the 80s, they've had nothing but big personalities
the
fulfilling those roles.
the the reason is to be searched with what's the name of the guy? Marchion.
Mm.
Marchione died. He was the head of Fiat,
Ah,
Chrysler, Ferrari,
yes,
all the
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
And he it was the guy which hired Arrivabene at the beginning.
Hmm.
Uh, and one of the things which didn't do really well, Marchioli was really adamant in having people grow within the structure and
Yeah.
raising people from within the structure. Now the thing is that they got to a point where they fired they fired Arrivabene for reasons, and they had to, because of that rationale, they had to take somebody within the structure and put it, to make
Hmm.
the job of a Arrivabene. And the only one
Yeah.
which was
He was.
available
Yeah. Yeah.
was Binotto,
He
which
was the
is
best bet because he's been a faithful Ferrari servant for many years, and he's a
it.
very extremely good aerodynamicist. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, again, you remember what we said at the beginning. I was really skeptical about having an engineer as a team
Mm.
manager and team,
Yeah.
because that is not a position for engineers.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't
It
agree
is
more.
a position for people which knows how to deal with engineers, and 9 times out of 10, that person is not an engineer.
Mm.
I mean, there are some notable exceptions to that, but like, I mean, for example,
Well, Jack
Gordon
Brabham,
Murray.
maybe.
Yeah, Gordon Murray was one.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Uh, sorry, Mauro Forghieri was another one. But those people, they were always they always had a shadow, right?
Mm.
Somebody else which was dealing with all the trivialities and actually giving
Yeah.
inputs. Mauro
Yeah. Yeah.
Forghieri, of course, had Enzo Ferrari itself and all the people told me exactly what the fuck he wanted now to do that. Gordon Murray had he had Eccleston and some other people.
Mm.
Even in the McLaren years,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're not the right person to do that kind of shit. I mean, I've seen enough engineers trying to be boss of racing teams to actually be really skeptical. And when I saw
Yeah.
Binotto, I just puked in my mouth because I knew it
Yeah.
was going to be
And
shit.
again, some of the comments that he's come out with haven't been the best Benotto comments. I mean, again, he could have squashed the Vettel thing early on. Again, the fact that they can't, his race engineer, I can't get my head around this. His race engineer couldn't give him an instant answer about the pace he needed to be going.
Mhm.
That blows my
Yeah,
mind. That
yeah,
blows my mind. The
yeah,
race engineer had to stop, go and talk to somebody else higher up, and then come
yeah,
back with the answer.
yeah.
That is just
And and
phenomenal, phenomenal.
and I mean, a proper team manager is something that happens. I mean, it would happen only once because
Yeah.
that engineer would not have ended the race without being fired. It would have been fired before the race ended.
Mm,
So when Vettel coming complaining to the guy, they would have told him, "Oh no, it doesn't work for us anymore. He's already on the plane back home because
mm,
fuck it, right?"
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but it's really frustrating, I think. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
bet, I bet, I bet. And again, I understand that. I've had the same frustrations with other teams over the years that I've
right,
supported. Williams, have
yeah,
been extremely frustrating sometimes, and especially it seems to be going throughout the paddock. I mean, it's spreading, right? I mean,
yeah,
Verstappen calling the strategy to Red Bull. I mean, Red
yeah,
Bull have got a great strategist, whatever her
yes,
name is. I can't
yeah,
remember what her name is, but she's a really good strategist. And yet
yeah.
Verstappen's in the car going, "No, I'm going to drive like this."
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing, amazing.
last race when Lewis called the strategy on
Yeah,
Bono, yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Saint Bono. All right, there.
yeah,
Yes, Saint Bono and the Edge. There, they both support Lewis Hamilton. That's why he's a God-fearing man. That's why
yeah,
he's a God-fearing man.
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I'm stunned, and it
Yeah.
seems to be catching. I can't wait. If this is the case this year, I can't wait for Alonso to get back
Oh
and,
fuck yeah!
and start
Jesus
going.
Christ!
That car behind me. Can you get onto their engineer because what he needs to do? I can
That
see
is
his
gonna
rear tires. He's going to be pitting in 5 laps.
that is gonna be fucking amazing, man.
Yeah, it's going to be
Jesus
funny.
Christ! Oh boy, I'm
He's,
waiting for that to happen. I'm
he's
waiting
going to be
for
calling
Alonso to come back.
everybody's strategy from the car.
Yeah, Yeah,
that'll
it's
be
gonna
great.
call the weather. It's gonna call. It's gonna call. Well, I mean, the guy is gonna call. The safety
Yeah, yeah.
car. The color of the jackets of the stewards.
Yeah. He'd be driving past the pits going, can you get me third engineer?
Yeah.
Could he just move
Yeah.
and swap places
Right.
with the other guy?
Right.
Because that's not the
Yeah.
right position.
Oh, it's
Anyway.
even more than that. It would be driving in the pit lane, telling, "Oh, can you tell the Williams that they have to change the other guy, which stayed the tire because I don't think it's good enough." I mean, what?
That's
Yeah,
not going to last. Yeah.
yeah.
And also, by the way, you're going to have to get me in for a weighbridge thing. But okay, anyway. Should be fun. Okie dokie. I mean, I think we're going to make
Oh,
this a fairly short.
It
Go
should be
ahead.
fun for everybody, but for the guys who work with him. Of course.
Oh, well, his teammate, yeah. Apart from his teammate. Who is his teammate? Do we know? It's going to be Stroll. Oh, my God.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh,
is
my
it going to
God.
be Stroll?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Stroll. Yeah, well, he's doing a good job. He's pulled up his socks again. He's
What do you mean Stroll? I mean, it's going to go in Renault. It's going to be awkward.
Oh, is he? Oh, is he Renault?
Yeah.
Is he going to Renault? Oh, yeah. Beg your pardon. Who's going
Yeah.
to Racing Point? Who's going to Racing Point?
No, it's Vettel, which is supposed to go to Racing
Ah,
Point.
Vettel. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Vettel will love that. Oh my God. But at least Stroll will just go. Oh yeah, no, I'll drive the car like Vettel once it's set up. So
And talking about, sorry, I forgot to mention, talking about, because that was another point I wanted to make. We're talking about Stroll. One other good reason, I mean, the rumors in the paddock is that, what's his name of Stroll father?
Lawrence.
Yeah, big money Stroll. One of the reasons he wants to hire Vettel is to basically have the ultimate trainer for his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why not? It sounds
Yeah.
like a good idea. It sounds like a good idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you got the money, that's a fucking excellent idea.
Yeah. And again, I'm all for Stroll. I think I think he's doesn't matter how he does it. If he gets there by hook or by crook, I'll be pleased. And if he manages to beat Perez, then great.
Yeah, they had to stop Hulkenberg the race before. They had to stop Perez this race. I mean, they're really trying to put him ahead of the guy.
Yeah,
whoever's racing with.
Well,
we'll see how it goes with Vettel.
Yeah, he's getting better, and that's all we can say. I don't think they're hindering the other driver in any way, though. You know what I mean? So.
Well, the only thing is that if they are used to doing that, with Hulkenberg and Perez, all the people, I'm waiting to see if it happens, how it's going to happen with Vettel, because I think they're in for a very rude awakening. First time they're telling you, "Oh, you should pit because reasons." So no, I'm not. I mean, fuck you. I don't want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Again, I don't think they're giving Stroll any kind of favors. On track or as for setup or anything like that. So that would be my reading of it, because he keeps getting beat and he's not that slow. You know what I mean? He's got some good points or good talents to his racing though. So if he can just learn to look after tires a bit better, then I'm sure he'll do real well. And that seems to be the biggest problem. Okay, so Albon, we talked about Albon, we talked about those. Renaults, yeah, they just didn't get a good start. Raikkonen and Gio, I don't know what's going on with those guys at all. Magnussen and Grosjean, he had a little swerve at one point again this race.
Yeah.
Well, he's not long for Formula One at this rate, I can tell you.
I only hope that Haas will be, in the championship next year, because that situation. I mean, it would be a shame if they're not, but they have no results basically. So
yeah,
it's kind of a bummer. I'm way more worried than Haas than Alfa Romeo, because Alfa Romeo, if at the worst case scenario, it's a test bed for Ferrari, and there might be reasons why they want to keep it that way. Even if the results do not justify being an F1. But Haas is kind of by himself, and if they don't have good results, it's going to be a bloodbath. I think they already said, they basically have very little development through the year. Yeah, it's going to be a bummer. So.
I can't understand Haas. I mean, they're sticking with Ferrari despite what's going on. And if I were Haas in this shoes, I would be saying, okay, we need to ditch Ferrari now. We need to go our own way. We can get a Renault engine and do better, you know.
Yeah.
If I were them, I'd really be trying to push for a Honda engine. But anyway, there you go. I would think they could
We'll
swap
see.
engines quite easily. But of course, the amount of investment that takes to redesign the car, the suspension, the aero, you know, they got to go from the bottom up, and the chassis. That's a huge investment.
I think it's more a money problem than
Yeah.
I think they get what they have because of the money they invested. So you can only get that much with the money you put in. You know, it's. I don't think. I mean, they use the Lara as basically as a builder and all that stuff. And honestly, I mean, I don't think that the Lara is the problem. You know,
No.
because,
Well, if they got any sense,
I mean,
if they got any sense, they will copy. Well, I was going to say last year's Ferrari, but of course,
yeah,
that's
last year's
probably not such a good idea because that will be this year's Ferrari, and that's obviously not a great car. So I can't see where they're going to go. And as such, they're probably just going to be throwing money away for the year until they get to the new regs and stuff at 2021. Is it 2022?
We'll see.
2022 is the next big update. So we'll have to see about that.
So I think we're done. I mean, next races is Spa, and Monza, and Mugello.
Yeah. In Belgium. And it is Belgium, I believe, Hercule.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's great. I love Spa, obviously. It's a real driver's track, and there's at least that good overtaking places on it.
That might be the last time that Kimi Raikkonen races a Spa. I mean, Kimi is basically the king of Spa, and that might be this might be the last year that we see Kimi on an F1 at Spa. There are rumors that he's going to leave next year, so yeah. I mean,
okay. I mean, I wouldn't blame him, of course, because pootling round for 14th place is not Kimi. However, so it sounds like there's going to be at least one big party mode in Spa,
yes.
And that's good to hear at least. And I love the suggestion, Valtteri. If you're watching, I know he does watch this occasionally.
Yes, he does.
Valtteri, if you're out there, make sure you have a big burn up with the steak. Make sure you have a big barbecue.
Yeah.
Next race, like Nico suggested, we suggest doing that, and that at least might gain you a couple of tenths down the straight.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if you manage to take a living lamb and actually slaughtering before putting it on the grill, that is going to be even more effective.
Yeah. Okay, and if not, do it the Italian way and just put the lamb's head in his trailer. That should work as well.
Or I mean, hire some Chinese cooks and cook a dog directly.
Yeah, cook a dog,
preferably a British bulldog.
I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
Oh
my God! I think that would get inside his head, Buster or something like that.
I don't know, the vegan dog.
Yeah, the vegan dog. That's just cruel. Having a vegan dog is cruel. We'll end it there. We'll end it there on what an animal hater Lewis Hamilton really is. Thank you, everybody. Ciao, Fabio.
Cheers.